So I've been playing the shit out of Last of Us Part 2, and I was really hesitant to buy it because of my experience with Part 1 on PC, but I've got to say, it was a really fun time. There wasn't really any bugs or issues, and a lot of people are critiquing this game saying, oh, the performance is so bad, and oh, there's so many bugs and issues, and why is my fucking map see-through? But I just didn't have that experience. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know what, but it was a flawless experience. The first day I had the game, I did have a pretty tough time because my OBS kept crashing the game for some reason. If I wanted to start my stream up, I had to do this whole process of changing encoders and stuff like that, but it was only for the first hour I played the game. After that, I never had this issue again, not for the entire week I played it every day. And comparing it to Part 1, that is absolutely fucking astonishing. I played Part 1 a few weeks ago and it was absolutely horrible. I had to download a program called RAM Map just in order to play the game. It kept crashing every 5 to 10 minutes, and I kept on having to clear my RAM's cache, along with a few other things, just to get the game to play. Part 1 was a pretty fun experience, but it was just really buggy. I played through the entire game in high to ultra settings with very, very rare drops below 60 FPS. And the only area I can even remember having a little bit of a tough time was when you and Lev go into the village and there's that big fire in the backdrop. That's it. And that wasn't even an issue. It was still very playable, and it was just my hardware was being fucking stress tested, basically. It was like going from a PS4 to a PS5 kind of performance drop. It wasn't that bad. On average, my FPS hovered between 80 to 100, and again, it being at 2560 by 1440p, that's pretty good, especially on RTX 3070. If you guys know how much smack I talked about all the PlayStation ports and how PlayStation games shouldn't be brought over to PC if they're going to be this shitty, this is surprising. This was actually really well done, and I don't know why. The only difference between these two is I have Part 1 on Steam and Part 2 on the Epic Games Launcher, and I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I feel like the port's higher quality. I'm sure that doesn't have anything to do with it, but I'm just trying to aim and shoot. I don't know why this is so much better. You can actually play the game. A really cool feature that I noticed between Epic Games Launcher and Steam is the fact that I can log into a PlayStation account on my PC and get all my trophies, and apparently there's an overlay you can open, but I forgot to check that out while I was playing, so you guys just don't have any footage of that. But Epic Games felt nicer. It felt like it ran better. I don't know if it has something to do with Steam. I don't know if it's just because it's been ported more recently, or if it's through Epic Games that did it, or Steam, or whatever system they had to communicate each other with. This is just well done. So props to PlayStation for actually doing a really good job porting this over to PC. Another thing they say when you first open the game is you should play on controller. I played this entire playthrough on mouse and keyboard, and I did not have one finicky experience. It was actually really fun. If you guys haven't played the game, I will give you some insight on the game itself instead of just the performance, because I know I've been yapping for a few minutes about that. And this is now my favorite story game of all time. I know that's pretty bold to say, and this is going to be even more bold to say, but I enjoyed this more than Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, Detroit Become Human, and pretty much any other story game that I've played in recent years that I can really think about. This is a really good game, and I don't think everyone should feel the way I did, but I just wanted to say that just so you understand how good this game can be for a lot of people. A lot of people hated on this game for the direction the story takes, and I simply just don't agree. If you know good storytelling, then you know there's no way to continue on from the first game into the second game without it going this direction. It just wouldn't have worked as well. You can take this exact same story and role swap with two certain people we know, but that's the only way. That's the only way. And if they wanted to make a 20-hour game, I feel like this was the best direction it could take. The way the story propels you into a depression and keeps you into this narrow pathway of feeling like there's only one way to finish it, it really sucks you in the longer you play it. I feel like you can't really move on from this game until you finish it. I personally couldn't move on because I just felt like I couldn't get my head into another game without finishing this. This is something that I went to bed at night thinking about, I woke up thinking about, and games that grab my attention like that are pretty rare, and this is just one of the very few. Now, I would say if you haven't played Part 1 in a while, I definitely would replay Part 1 before moving into this game because you want Part 1 fresh on the mind, but other than that, it's a great experience. I know a lot of people were crying the fact that you play Abby for a really long time in the story, and I've got to say, this is one of my favorite parts. If you don't know the story, I'd probably cover your ears because this may vaguely hint at the ending of the game, so I'm going to give you some time right now. Skip to this timestamp if you need to get past this. I love playing as Abby for the simple fact of it shows you both sides to this feud. I feel like everyone kind of sided with Ellie off of bias, and then playing as Abby for so long kind of helps you build this connection with the character, and it kind of opened my eyes to the fact of if the roles were reversed, you're going to pick Ellie's side regardless just because of the bias. I feel like everyone that just hates Abby off the rip is a dumbass, because if you look at both sides of the story, which I'm going to try my best not to spoil much, Abby is like the least evil in this scenario. She's not a heartless monster. She's just a girl who misses somebody, and that sounds very fucking familiar with all the character we love. If you count all the things Abby does in this story compared to what Ellie does in this story, it's almost half. This is a big story of selfishness, and it's all just one big twirling tornado, and there's nobody right in the story, but I feel like if anybody's the least wrong, it probably is Abby. She got what she got and then left it alone. She refuses to fight Ellie because she literally just flat out doesn't care anymore, and her priorities have changed. All of her friends are gone because what she did, she probably regrets it, and then Lev is her new priority to fix and take care of. And then I'd be damned if Ellie doesn't just provoke all that and make Abby fight. And then I'd be damned, very big spoiler alert, please skip past this, if she doesn't spare her anyway. This is what people got the most upset about, and I personally loved this, honestly. And it also shows Ellie growing as a person, because finally, she did what Joel always wanted from Ellie, is to be forgiven. Ellie ruined a lot of the last moments with Joel that she had out of resentment, and finally learned to forgive way after he was gone, which pissed in a lot of people's cereal, but it also was beautiful storytelling. And I feel like that's the only hate that this game gets. People don't like this story because it takes a character you really love, strips him away from you, and then puts you with this other character that you may not love as much, but still you have a connection with. And then what you want done doesn't get done. Anyways, back to the spoiler-free shit before I get too far into this. Something I was really scared about diving into this game was the combat. If you're looking from the outside in, it looks really repetitive. Constantly just kind of walking around in circles, either shooting zombies or shooting damn soldiers. There's no real in-between. Maybe throwing bottles and avoiding some zombies, but it's like, it looks like the same old shit. And I honestly could not have been more wrong. I will say sometimes it got tiring, especially when the game wanted you to lose, because some of the cutscenes, they would just throw 97 soldiers out there for you to get cooked by, because that's how the story had to go, where you lost. And it can be exhausting, but it is one of the most fun, addicting combat styles I've ever seen in a game. Sometimes you have to grab a melee weapon and roleplay you're swinging a golf club at somebody we love. Ooh, you look like Joel. You can craft Molotovs and throw them on everybody you see. I'm about to light this damn dog on fire, twin. I ain't gonna lie. You can swim underwater and grab people and pull them under and strangle them. There's so many different ways to handle each situation, where if you don't want to use your ammo, or if you don't have any ammo, you have to play a different way than if you want to just go guns a-blazing and shoot like I did majority of the time. So it's a repetitive style where they're all funneling in the exact same way, but you can approach them with such caution or such lack of care that it just makes it so different each time. You can avoid combat, or you can dive headfirst into it. Stealth around and kill everybody, or you can go loud. It's so vastly different each time you get into some form of combat. There's different elements to it too, where it's different zombies, different soldiers, different animals. You have so many different aspects to fighting in this game. Personally, my favorite character to play for combat is definitely Abby. She's so much stronger than Ellie, and her guns are way cooler. Well, her firearms too, but no, seriously. Her AK is so fun to click heads with, and her crossbow is so much nicer than the damn pull bow that Ellie has. Her melee combat is just brute force, where you just walk up and slam the shit out of people. It's just such a blast. And then if you go and play as Ellie, I tend to be a little bit more stealthy, choose my shots a little bit more carefully, and I get myself in the right position to really utilize my strengths of being smaller, more nimble, and being able to sneak around people. And I feel like that's another element to the game, where it's like playing different characters adds a different way to play. This is more showcased in the no return mode, which I may make a video about because I only played it once, so I feel like I can't give a true review on that. But each character has a different play style, and you need to find their strong suit. So if you end up playing as Abby, you need to play a little bit more aggressive, a little louder, a little bit more, brute. Play as Ellie, you need to be quiet, stealthier, sneakier, more snappy. One of the saddest things about the combat in this game is that one of the coolest guns is right at the end of the game, which, spoilers, I guess, maybe. The game's been out for fucking 30 years, but it's a fully automatic MP5, and I can't believe they waited so long to bring this to me. One of my favorite weapons is the shotgun. It's a powerhouse, and it's a blast, but my second pick is this MP5, man. I don't know why it took so long. It's suppressed, it's fully automatic. I mean, oh my god. You could one-tap people in the head with it, or you could spray them down and go Moving on, I would like to say that the map design feels very nice. It's like halfway between this open world and linear experience, and a lot of PlayStation games do this, like God of War, for example. You can explore and look, and you'll find things that are super useful, but exploring's optional. You can find stuff like holsters, more guns, and you don't have to in each area, but you will find some pretty cool things if you do explore. That's why I always was trying to be a very exploration kind of person in this game, and that's rare for me. The only thing I don't care for sometimes is it can be pretty hard to find which direction you should be going in, and that's, again, it makes you explore more. Only thing that I don't care for sometimes is the fact that it can be a little bit hard to find which direction you really need to be going in. I often find myself confused running in big circles in a dark room just because it's a little too hard for me to see. But again, the game kind of forces you to explore and find stuff that are useful. Like, again, finding the flamethrower is damn near optional because you have to kind of go out of your way. But if you don't know where you're going, you will find it. Another thing is that the game realizes this, and they will point you in the right direction if you're taking too long to find the objective. So you have a few minutes to find it, and it'll give you a tip or a hint, which is really nice because I was playing on an easier difficulty, and I didn't know where the hell I was going half the time. So at least they thought about people like me. Another thing that kind of ties into the map being so amazing is the traversal. A lot of this feels so amazing, from the climbing to the crawling, the swinging to the jumping. It all just feels very refined. Climbing through cracks in the wall. To think that they had to do all the mocap just for these little scenes climbing through all the walls and shit is just super neat to me. It reminds me of when I was seeing the Jedi Survivor game be made, where I was seeing Cal Kestis, or well, the actor that plays Cal Kestis, have to do all the mocap for each little scene he's crawling through those little corridors. And I was like, holy shit. This takes so much time, but it's so worth it because a lot of these scenes are so cool. Another cool thing I noticed about this game is the camera. The camera following whichever character you're playing as feels so nice. It kind of reminds me of someone being followed by like a fast tracking camera on a movie set, if you know. Kind of bungees around a little bit, and overall it just kind of gives you the sluggish, realistic feeling, but it's super, super addicting on its own. I like when games feel like this, and I don't know why. The sluggish kind of realistic feeling is nice, but I've never had this from a third-person perspective. Usually it's games like Insurgency or Escape from Tarkov that give you this, but this is a third-person experience that somehow made this feel amazingly realistic. It just adds a lot of realism into the environment. And speaking of the maps and environment, the fucking jump scares are sickening in this game. I feel like I was so anxious playing this game the entire time because I felt like something was going to jump out at me, or every corner I peeked around, it was just something creepy staring at me. Every 10 fucking minutes, I just would get jump scared, and I kept pre-aiming my guns at all the corners, corridors, whatever else I could aim at, just to make sure I had the jump on whatever was coming at me. And I'm so glad I have a good heart because, wow, I'm tired of being jump scared by all this shit. I guess it's my least favorite and favorite part of the game. My favorite jump scares, which I guess, again, must be my least favorite, are when the stalkers are embedded in the walls. Whoever come up with that idea, you're a dickhead. I love these things, but I also hate them because I've been scared so many times. All in all, this is now my favorite story game of all time, and I do highly recommend you play Part 1 and Part 2. Part 2 is more worth it to me just because you can pick it up for a $50 price tag on Epic Games Launcher, and it's so flawless and amazing. If you buy either of these games, I would recommend buying it on the Epic Games Launcher because it seems to be running better for people when they have it through this compared to Steam. I beat this game a little bit too fast, so I am going to be doing a rerun of Part 1 and 2 with all the modifiers enabled, so I hope to see you guys over there in my live chat or my Twitch channel that's linked down below. That is all, so I'll see you guys in the next video.